family mode.
All right. Hello, everyone, and thank you very much for joining us on this NABCA webinar titled Here an App, There an App. Before I introduce our speakers from Pennsylvania and Iowa, I want to just cover a few things with you. The webinar will highlight how these two states have used mobile apps for retail and educational purposes. We expect this webinar to last about an hour, with room for Q&A at the end. If there are lots of questions and if attendees don't mind, we may stay on longer. But please know that once the webinar begins, I'm not able to acknowledge receipt of questions, but know that we will answer any questions at the end. This presentation is being recorded, and we hope to make it available for playback later. If you have questions, please type it in the chat box or the chat window, which is in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. And at the end of the presentation, I will come back and ask the questions for our speakers to answer them for you. So I'd now like to read a little bit of information and a description for Pennsylvania, the speakers for Pennsylvania, and tell you a little bit about what they'll talk about. Jessica Siders is the digital manager, media manager, for the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board and supports its retail stores through digital marketing efforts as Fine Wine and Good Spirits. She manages its current social media channels, including Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and YouTube, as well as the mobile e-commerce app. E-marketing duties also include writing consumer e-newsletters and marketing on the PLCB's retail website. Jessica's background includes 7 years of public relations experience with the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and 6 years of sales and marketing experience in the private sector servicing municipal and school investment accounts. Jessica holds a BA in communications from Elizabethtown College in Pennsylvania. Now, chiming in with Jessica as part of her presentation will be Keith Bowden, who is in the IT department at the PLCB. He was behind the development of the Android app. Now, a little bit about what the PLCB will present. The Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board has been using its Fine Wine and Good Spirits mobile app on iPhone and Android for over a year. The purpose of their app is to increase sales and to brand their retail stores. Eventually, they intend to increase their mobile strategy. The PLCB chose to create the app in-house. Jessica will address the app's development, how the app is used, and where the PLCB plans to grow with it. I will now hand over, Jessica, just give me a second. I'm going to change presenter to you so that you will have control of the screen. And so there you go.
Great. Thank you so much, Maggie, and hello, everyone. I'm just going to go ahead and get started here and talk a little bit about just kind of give you a highlight of the topics we're going to cover this afternoon. The first item is to kind of give you a little bit of insight on our retail brand, Fine Wine and Good Spirits. Many of our partners in other states know us as the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board, but here in Pennsylvania, it's important that our consumers and customers understand that our retail stores are, we use the brand name Fine Wine and Good Spirits. So that's going to play a huge role in how we approached our app. We're going to talk about the development of the app. We're going to explore the features of the app. We're going to discuss the metrics and show you a little bit of the differences between the way the iPhone and the Android screens appear. I'm going to discuss the marketing of the app and then kind of fill you in on where we're headed with regards to our next upgrade. So to get started, the mobile revolution is what I phrase our app, and you'll see our app is on the bottom right, and if you search in the App Store, you'll search under Fine Wine and Good Spirits, and you should see it up there, and you should be able to download it if you haven't had the chance to. There's no charge for the app, which is nice. But, you know, in regards to our strategy, the important thing to keep in mind is that we were looking at what the consumer is expecting from us as a retailer here in Pennsylvania. It's fair to say, in my opinion, regardless of who our demographics are, we are focusing on generations that include our millennials, our Gen X, Gen Y, and baby boomers. I do the social media here at Fine Wine and Good Spirits. the way we're headed is that everybody is expecting to have the information at their fingertips and primarily at their mobile device, their smartphones. We know over half of our consumers are getting their information through mobile devices, so clearly the growth is in that direction, and we want to meet that need. The other reasons for our mobile direction is to improve customer service. We want to be able to give people the information that they need at their fingertips, and the app does provide that. Of course, increasing sales is a main goal here in Pennsylvania, and people are looking for information and they want to find out what pricing is on a certain product. They can find that through the app. I mentioned our brand awareness, which I'll talk about in a second. We also wanted to extend our web and e-commerce presence. Our website is finewineandgoodspirits.com, and this app is an extension of that. We have our website, which has a great depth of information on education, and it also includes our online store. So what this app includes is not just it includes product information that you can find in any fine wine and good spirit store in Pennsylvania, but also what we also offer online. So it's really quite robust. And our last goal through this mobile revolution effort is to identify new mobile users. So we know we have our consumers who expect to find information through the app, but there might also be people who may not know who we are at Fine Wine and Good Spirits, and by downloading the app can discover what we have to offer here in Pennsylvania. So just to give you a brief idea, our retail stores have in the last few years gone through a rebranding where we're trying to, and we have been successful in communicating with our consumer of what our new brand is, Fine Wine and Good Spirits. And just to give you an idea of what the experience should be when you go in our stores, we want people to understand, for example, the shopping experience should be more of an adventure where we encourage exploration and discovery. We want customers feeling surprised and inspired by the selection they find in our stores. We want them to feel invited where, you know, the environment should be warm and welcoming, that they're in a space where they can look at products at ease and explore new information as well, and also kind of educate themselves, where the staff is also helpful, not just through our product information in stores, but through staff. We have a celebratory feel where we want people to think, you know, they're shopping in many cases to celebrate an occasion, whether it be a wedding or a graduation or some big occasion, something that is going to bring a memory to our lives. And of course, the human touch is so important when people are shopping in our stores. So we want to make sure our look and feel is conversational and connects with the consumer and the customer. We want them to know what our brand can do for them. So with that in mind, that's the direction we were headed when we created the app. And before I go into the specifics and the look and feel in the app, I'm going to pass this off to Keith Bowden, our Web Services Manager, who's going to talk a little bit about the back end before we get into the details of the brand and the app itself. So Maggie, whenever you're ready, I'll switch this back to Keith.
Okay, let me take control again, and I just changed it to Keith. So Keith, you should have control of the screen now. Keith?
All right, can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, so as Jess mentioned, in 2011 a vendor proposed an iPhone app to reach out to our customers. And the basic feature set that was selected was designed to include a lot of similar functionality to what we have on our current e-commerce store. That includes the ability to find stores, to browse and purchase products, and generally just to make the consumer's life easier as they're either looking for our stores or our products. At the time that we were going about this, since it was 2011, HTML5 and mobile browser functionality was not quite as mature as it is today. So as a result, the decision was to pursue a native app. So that's an app that is developed specifically for the platform. That way it would take advantage of the special features and functionality that you have on the different platforms, iOS, which is the Apple platform particularly. So our vendor coded the entire application, and also, since this is an application that interfaces with our product data, they coded the web services that connect the mobile devices to our data. Those interfaces were coded to hook directly into our existing e-commerce store. So the total time from the inception of the mobile app to our deployment was around 6 months. The vendor worked with our marketing department to decide on those screens and functionalities, and also the graphics. The graphics are a big part of mobile applications. In the development process of mobile applications, you'll see breakdowns between not only the user interface, but what they call the user experience, or the UX. Those graphics are really important. It's important to make the user feel like they're using the device that they're used to, either the iPhone or the Android, and also to help carry on your brand, the brand that Jessica talked about. Outsourcing the app meant that the effort relied mostly on our contractors, so this minimized the need for our internal staff to work on these apps. Shortly after the iOS project began, I suggested that we create a matching Android app using in-house developers instead of contractors. Similarly, since HTML5 was not as mature as it is today, we decided to build a native app on the Android platform as well. This would produce the best experience for our users. It would take advantage of the different buttons, the different menus and screens that are available on that platform as well. But of course, due to differences in those two platforms, one thing we had to resolve is what differences there would be between the applications. The iPhone users are used to swiping left to right, and on the Android there's more of a menu functionality that users are used to. Another problem that we encountered was, at the time, our in-house developers did not have a lot of Java experience. So our development effort in-house not only involved learning the Android libraries and specifics to that platform, but also learning the Java language which the app is coded in at the same time. However, insourcing the app reduced our need for contractors, but did require investment in our own staff. The investment in our own staff allows our developers to handle updates to the application much more quickly, though, whereas contracting out the iPhone app left us with less knowledge of the application and makes our progressive updates to the apps a little bit more difficult. So in my opinion, the overall decision as to whether to outsource or to insource these types of applications really depends not only on whether you have staff available with the required skill sets, but also on whether you have plans in the future to enhance the apps and how often. It always seems to be the case that having your own staff in from the ground floor as the app is built and developed provides you the best knowledge on that application. So that's all I have. Jess, if you'd like to take it from here.
Okay. I will change controls to giving it now back to Jessica. And so Jessica?
Okay, thank you, Maggie, and thank you, Keith, for providing the background on how we came to what we have today of the app. So just to kind of keep things through, this is the home screen of our mobile app, and this is both what you'll see on the iPhone and on the Android. You'll see this is the same look and feel, or if you go to our website, you'll see this is the same look and feel of that Fine Wine and Good Spirit brand that I mentioned earlier. We wanted to our goals were pretty simple. We wanted to keep it simple, and we wanted to make sure the consumer could access points of information that they're interested in, content that people care about. So you'll see there are 4 primary buttons. There's the shop, our wine and spirits. There's a store locator, a scan bottle function, and our sale list. Those are the 4 primaries, and then there's some other additional buttons at the bottom, which I'll talk about. But today I want to for the first point, I'm going to focus on those 4 primary buttons. And the first one is our shop. So, this is the iPhone, and the thing to keep in mind with the iPhone is that it has a drill down functionality to it. So you're pushing one button and it's bringing up another screen. I mentioned earlier that this app is quite robust, where it includes our in-store products across all of our 600 retail stores, as well as our online products through our e-commerce store, and we also have what's called special orders, where we may not carry it in stores, but if a customer is looking for a certain product, we can order it on their behalf. So once you select that shop button, you'll see the products that are mentioned, and then it's simply drilling down to see what you're looking for. So in the next screen, you'll see when you select wines, you have the choice, or in-store products, you have the choice of looking at wines, spirits, our Chairman Selection wine program, which is a one-time buy luxury wines, and then our monthly sales. So in this case, if you drill down in wines, you'll be prompted to select wines by either country or type. I selected Australia in this example here. And then moving forward, you're then presented with the number of different wines in Australia that we have in our stores. So you'll see the Cabernet Sauvignon is at the top. There's about 27 products under that in Australia. So that then is the next screen you'll see. I selected the first Cabernet, so I'm looking, as a consumer, I'm looking for this Cabernet Sauvignon. So I selected the Colonial Estate. And then from that is the product information screen. This information is identical to what you see in our e-commerce store, and we strive to make sure the information is as current and up to date as possible. Actually, every day our website is doing updates which are pushed through the app. So from a consumer perspective, you're seeing everything on the app that you're seeing on our website. So you'll see the sale price, you see the varietal, the size, the code number, the vintage, and the region. Now, in cases, especially with wine, where we can find either tasted notes or either wine notes that come from publications, we definitely want to mention that, because the tasting notes are so important for the consumer to get some insight on that product. We want them to be comfortable looking at, being able to read the product description and say, you know what, that's a wine I'd like to try. On the right side is the same screen, but I just took a screenshot after scrolling down a little bit, because this will then lead you into the next screen, which I'll talk about in a second. But as you can see, there's a lot of information behind the development of the app, and we're really proud of it. But when you get to the point where you think, okay, this product is, I'm interested in it, what's the next step? You'll see on the bottom you can choose to look at the in-store availability and find out where you can buy that product in stores, or add it to your wish list, which I'll talk about under the account setup. So at this point, I would select the check-in store availability button on the bottom left, and I would be prompted for the top left screen, which is called Locate Store. Now, I know the screen's a little bit busy, but I wanted to, it's kind of a twofold purpose. As you continue to look for that product and find out what store it is, you'll be selecting that Locate a Store arrow underneath, and then it'll prompt you to the next screen on the right, where it shows store categories, and from there we put in Philadelphia. So this is real-time information. When you select the search button, I'll show you that in a second, you'll then be prompted for the product information. But this functionality of Locate Store is identical to that Locate Store button on our home screen on the bottom right. The only difference is, in this case, we're looking for a specific product, but the functionality is the same if you're simply looking for a store that's in your area. So if you went to your home screen on the bottom right, on the bottom left, and selected that blue text button, you would get the same screens prompted and simply directing you to the closest store. So just to kind of give you an idea, there's a lot of the same functionality crossing each other's paths within this application. So moving forward, we're looking for that Cabernet. We want to see where it's at in Philadelphia. The next screen that would then come up is this GPS through Google Maps store locator. So you'll see that we can direct the consumer exactly to that product store, the address, and then if you select that blue arrow, you'll then be prompted into the next screen on the right, which is store 5144. You'll see the address is listed, we have the phone number, we have premium collection stores, we also have stores that don't offer as many luxury products, but they're still available. But hopefully the consumer, we're thinking throughout this process the consumer in mind, that they find this tool helpful and useful, because they can find a product they're looking for right at their fingertips. It even lists how many bottles of that Cabernet are at that store. So if you have a party coming up, you want to grab a couple bottles, the consumer can then hit that button and call the store and ask them to hold those bottles for them until they get there. You can also get the directions through the app, which would then be directing the user back to the Google Maps. But it's quite a nice way of getting the consumer to find the product that they're looking for at their fingertips. So moving on to the third button is the sale list items, and every month we have special programs and promotions. So the sale list changes constantly, but the consumer would then look at the sale list and see maybe what, maybe they don't have a particular product in mind, but they're looking at the products that are on sale. In this case, when you hit sale list, select the sale button, the screen comes up where wines and spirits are selected, and we selected spirits, and the sale items at this time were listed, and I selected the Bacardi Grand Melon Rum. You'll see the original retail price, and on the bottom there the sale price of $14.99. When you select that button, it then prompts you to this product information screen. Now you'll see the information is not quite as robust as some of those wine notes that I showed you earlier, but the idea is, you have the consumer can find the product and, as before, be able to find out the best way to get that product or to purchase it. So that's just a little bit of the sale price or the sales component on that button that I wanted to show you. The fourth button that we have is Scan a Bottle, and this is something we're really pleased with. You'll see on the left side, if you press that Scan button, let me hop back a second. If you press that Scan Bottle, it'll immediately take you to the screen on the left side where there's actually the camera. So your smartphone will take a picture of that barcode on the back of the product. It'll pull up the product number, the UPC code, and then it'll then tell you what that product is, what the price is, and what store you can find it in. So if you're at a friend's house for a get-together and you find a wine or a spirit that you like, you can use this app to find out how to get that bottle or to get that product. And so it's a really nice feature that is available to any consumer looking to find out where they can get that bottle for themselves or as a gift. So I covered the four primary buttons. I want to just take a second and show you the search function on the bottom, because this is another way the consumer can get in and find information through a different way. So perhaps you have a particular wine that you like or a certain product. Instead of drilling down through the functions that I showed you, you could simply type that product in the field under the type product name or code, and then you can search for the product. So in this case, we did search. So not to kind of be repetitive, but the same drill down screens would appear once you found the product you were looking for. The other component or function at the bottom I wanted to also show you is the My Account. And this is another feature which is really a nice addition to having that app. It's an extension, again, of our online e-commerce site. The user can actually purchase products through our app. You can use your email and a password, and you can log into your account. One thing we have here at the bottom on the right side of that home screen is that you must be registered first at finewineandgoodspirits.com. So the only drawback to this is that you can't sign up as a first-time user through our app. You have to go onto the website. But once you have your email and password set up, you can go on and make purchases at any time. Another function I wanted to show you is completing a sale. I do jump around a bit, and I apologize, these screens are a little fuzzy, but in order to place a purchase, the user can look up their account information. The reason why we have individuals go into our website to log in as a first-time user is that we need to have a credit card number on file and also to verify the age, so that they are over 21 here in Pennsylvania. So you'll see on the left side is my information as an account, where my account set up. I added a product to the wish list, and if you recall going back a few screens, there was a wish list button. If you added that Cabernet to your wish list, this is what would come up. You can either email it to yourself on the bottom right as a reminder, or you can add it to your cart and then complete your purchase. So there's a number of screens to go through completing a sale, and I'm going to highlight a number of them, but I think most of us have placed purchases on the websites, and a number of us have done it on an app. So the functionality and kind of the concept of completing a sale is the same. I'm just going to highlight a few of those. So when you check out, you find the products that you want, you hit the checkout button, and you're then prompted to the billing screen in the middle there that asks or confirms the use of your primary credit card. You'll then select Next. Now you'll see there's a Use Another Card option. I believe you can, I may need to clarify this, I think you have to have another credit card number on file through our website. It's not where you can add another credit card number into our app. So that's why that is prompted there. But under billing, you're then, after you select or confirm that credit card number, you then can identify if you want it as a gift order, and then moving forward, before you confirm shipping, you would then must confirm that the shipping, if it's being shipped to your house, that someone over the age of 21 is signing for the shipment, or that you'd like to have it shipped to one of our 600 stores. So once you select that Next button, you're then presented with your confirmation screen, and you're given a confirmation number, and then we also email the customer to let them know that their order is being shipped and that we received the order. A few other items. We have an order review, which just gives you an idea of if you wanted to go back into your app at a later time and look at your account and make sure you ordered those items, you'll see that. And then also your order history. So there's kind of a depth or history of previous purchases as well on that site. So that kind of gives you an idea of the, the number of features within our app. And I'm now going to talk about some of the metrics that we've been tracking since the inception of the both creating the iPhone and the Android app. Keith touched on the iPhone, that we rolled it out. There was some time obviously developing it, but we actually put a press release out and promoted the app at late January 2012. And since that date in Pennsylvania, we have about almost close to 30,000 active installs or downloads on there. For the Android, we rolled that out about 6 months later, and we have over 15,000 active installs. We track these numbers weekly. We have, well, the data is available to us daily, but we just track it on a weekly basis and monitor it. We are looking for opportunities to continue promoting our app and to find ways of, sharing that information or kind of using other technology and tools to promote the app as well. In terms of the activity that I mentioned, those 4 primary buttons, as well as the other buttons or functionality at the bottom of the app, you'll see that blue chunk, which is close to about 55% of our users are using that app to navigate products. So it's kind of, if somebody's searching for information, they can use the navigation, that search tool. The product search is that bottom right kind of magnifying glass button. We're finding close to 25% of users are using our app for that. The other primary ways are scanning a bottle and then also searching under the sale list button and locating store. And all 3 of those, this is data that we've collected within the last 7 weeks. So we look at a rolling 7-week average. Our users, each one of those, 7% of scanning a bottle, they're 7% of sale lists, and 7% of locating store. So they're pretty steady. Everybody's pretty much using that the same. Those 3 over that, each are using it for 7%. Some people are looking for stores on the app, and then our products or purchases are also included in there. So this is kind of the data that we have, and then we're looking for new ways to improve and kind of grow some of the other opportunities of our app that we haven't yet, that people aren't taking advantage of. In regards to the differences of the iPhone and the Android, I just want to show you some side-by-side screens so you can see the differences. Keith touched on some of the development ends, but with regards to the Android, it's definitely different where you don't have to drill down as frequently as you do in the iPhone. And using the iPhone as an example is helpful so you can see step-by-step, but a lot of those steps can be compressed into one screen with the Android, where you can search in-store products and the type of the product, the wine type, the varietal, all in one, and then get your screen, versus the drill down with the iOS on the right. Search functions, again, are the same. You can find, you can do a lot more with the Android in regards to finding a specific product if you have, with regards to the tools on the Android versus drilling down through the iPhone on the right. The results are the same once you look for your products. The format's a little bit different with font, but the end result is the same for the user experience. Another screenshot here just shows what the product information looks like on the left with an Android versus on the right with an iPhone. And lastly, the My Account screens. If you're looking to log into your account and look at your under order history, you'll see there's very few differences. The big one at the bottom is that the Droid doesn't have the same options on the bottom like your home, back, sale, and scan a bottle in My Account. Because of the drill down, the iPhone will default back to the home versus the Droid's functionality where it's quicker and you can basically from what I understand, you can log back into your home. I have the iPhone, so I'm more comfortable using that, but there are others out there that are using the Droid and find the user experience very positive. One thing I wanted to talk about is our recent upgrade. We've had as mentioned, we've been using our app and promoting our app for well over a year. Earlier this year, we did upgrade, we did some changes to our app, and the biggest feature, or what we see from a marketing side of the app, is the sharing functionality. So on the left side, you'll see the sharing green kind of button, that arrow, and that indicates to the consumer they can share that product information. On the right side, if they click that green button, they'll be prompted to promote, or they can share that product through Facebook, through Twitter. They can send a text to a friend, or they can even email the product information. So in the case of the sharing functionality, you'll see what it looks like from a Twitter perspective. So you can tweet a product that you found on our Fine Wine and Good Spirits app. On Facebook, you can share the page. On a text message, this is what a text would look like. And then on the right side, you're seeing an email. So there's a lot of different ways you can share this information, and it's just in terms of social media, I mean, we're seeing the growth in that area as well. It's a great way to promote the app in addition to promoting the products. So it kind of leads me into the last segment here, where we promote our app currently in our stores through our point-of-sale marketing information. We have e-alerts that we send out through our emails. We have our website that promotes the app. We use social media to promote our app. Twitter, Facebook, we're on Pinterest, YouTube, and Foursquare, and we're looking for additional ways to promote the app as well. We don't just want to promote the fact that we have the app, but we want to promote more of the functions of the app, and that's where we're headed for the next upgrade. Before I wrap up, I wanted to just touch on where we're headed. We're really pleased with the progress of our app. We know we have our work cut out for us to continue to grow the usage and awareness of the app, but at the same point, we still want to continue to engage the consumer and meet their expectations of what they see on our website. One of those functions and features is adding a gift card balance. A lot of people call in or call the stores looking for the balances on their gift cards, so they can now we are looking to add that feature onto the app. We want to freshen up the look of our home screen a little bit, where we can put maybe more of the sharing functionality on there. The shopping cart button, which is featured on the app, is helpful, but we are looking for a way of promoting that or making that a little more prominent through some of our screens. We also want to we actually want to have a button on the home screen that shares the app. So I showed you some of the ways you can share the products. We actually want to share the app, which will help our consumers market the app for us. And also, I kind of mentioned adding a tool to share the app. So there's the share functioning, but we want to find additional tools to share the app through our other marketing and social media channels as well. One last thing to note is we do monthly promotions, and we're looking to do push notifications in the next upgrade, just sharing that information of what our sales are. So if people are in the area, we can take advantage of the GPS tracking, and if they're close to a Fine Wine and Good Spirit store, let them know when our coupons are and what products might be on sale. So that kind of ends my segment, and I do appreciate your time, and we'll hand this back to Maggie, but I just wanted to let everyone know if they have any questions about what we're doing here in Pennsylvania. This is our contact information, and I'd be happy to assist in any way Keith or I can. Thank you, Maggie.
Okay, Jessica, thank you very much, and thank you very much, Keith, as well. And I just want to remind folks that if you have any questions for this live chat or this current broadcast, you can, I think I said the chat window earlier, it might be a questions box that you could just type in your questions for Keith and Jessica and soon to be Shannon and Tanya. Okay, so, and I'm going to leave the information for Pennsylvania on the screen while I read Iowa's details before turning it over to Shannon and Tanya. So Shannon Pagonis is the Education Outreach Coordinator for the Iowa Alcohol Beverages Division. Shannon works with partners in providing valuable education on the dangers of overconsumption, driving under the influence, underage drinking, and other social issues regarding alcohol. Shannon provides outreach to licensees and stakeholders to help them follow the law while running a successful operation on a level playing field. Shannon is charged with coming up with creative and alternative education initiatives that help further the Iowa Alcoholic Beverage Division's mission of serving Iowans through the responsible regulation and profitable distribution of alcohol while providing opportunities for industry development and promoting health through education. Now, joining Shannon in this presentation will be Tanya Dussold, Communications Director for the Iowa ABD, and Tanya was Project Manager on the Calcohol mobile app development. Now, the Iowa Alcoholic Beverages Division, in partnership with the National Alcohol Beverage Control Association, launched Calcohol, a mobile site that calculates standard drink sizes and the number of alcohol servings per container. The goal of Calcohol is to educate consumers, retailers, and servers how much alcohol is in any given beverage. To calculate your intake on a beverage, visit iowaabd/calcohol. Now I'm going to change the screen and make Shannon now the presenter. So Shannon.
All right. I
Okay.
think we're up and running now.
Yes.
Okay. So just getting started with on this first page here is to kind of reiterate some of the things that Maggie just covered. There's the website for, or the mobile site for Calcohol at the very top there, if you didn't catch it or would like to click through it. So just to kind of reiterate some of the previous things that Maggie mentioned. Getting started from a general sense on what we wanted to do for a mobile site, just brainstorming on, we had to come up with a theme for what we wanted our mobile site to be and our mobile app, and we had, everyone at the office and at the agency had a lot of different ideas of what we could do, but for this first one, I was pretty adamant that it was something that was public health related and promoted just overall, consumer awareness on different types of products. So the audience for this app and mobile site is general consumers, sellers and servers of alcohol, or people that are providing alcohol. And I've worked with our nonprofit prevention agencies a lot to utilize this tool, either at in-person alcohol trainings that they were teaching, or just to make students and community members in their local communities and coalitions aware that something like this currently existed. Because there was kind of this behind-the-scenes idea that when people would start using it, that we would think that they had this aha moment of, oh man, I really am consuming, or there really is a lot more alcohol in some of the products that I regularly consume. So the intended goals and objectives were just helping create awareness and educate consumers on how much alcohol is in any given drink, whether it be a mixed cocktail or a pre-mixed drink that comes in a single serving can, or on the flip side, if they were drinking something that with a spirit that was stronger than 80 proof spirits, something that's more along the lines of 100, 120 proof, how many ounces or what is the standard serving size for that specific spirit. So that's kind of what this application does. The preconceived notion of that a standard drink is a drink is a drink is a drink, where a 12-ounce beer is the same as 5 ounces of wine, is the same as an ounce and a half of spirits, no longer really applies in today's marketplace. There's so much blend among the three different product lines that it's really difficult for the consumer just to rationalize or to know how much they're consuming in any given drink. So Calcohol kind of is an easy way to calculate that for you. Again, it provides two functions, so we'll look at a little bit of how the app actually looks. So on this first screen here, the numbers that are here, the 12% alcohol, the 23 ounces, and then you hit enter and it comes up with 4.6 drinks. Well, a number kind of doesn't do it as much justice as the graphic. So the graphic with the little wine glasses to the right of the screen, it will pop up over top of the calculation. So the user gets the information in two different ways. And then when we get a little bit stronger percentage of alcohol, or it can be flipped to use proof, or instead of ounces it can be used for liters, that graphic will change to a mixed drink and or a beer stein. So it kind of just depends on the product that's being calculated and the corresponding that graphic that comes up with it. So these numbers with the 12% alcohol, the 23 serving size ounces, and the 4.6 drinks, this is what we would see from one of the larger ready-to-drink products, like some of the former alcohol energy drinks. And this is one of the numbers that I like to use most with my prevention agencies to just visually explain how many servings of alcohol is in those drinks. So this is what it looks like when you are trying to calculate what is the standard drink. So the only information that you would need to provide here is the percentage or proof of alcohol. So I just used 120 proof, and then your serving sizes and ounces is always going to be set, or your your standard drink's always going to be set at 1, and so then the servings and ounces and or liters will change according to the proof or the percentage of alcohol that you're putting in there. So instead of the consumer thinking that, oh, since I'm having a mixed drink and I'm having a particular spirit that they may think is 80 proof, that an ounce and a half would constitute a standard drink, when in fact it would only be 1 ounce. So when we were coming up with the app, we wanted it to be pretty clean and simple and not have a lot of information on there, but there still needs to be something on there that explains to the user the reason or the necessity for having such an app, or if it gets too complex, the function of it. So we've got 2 tabs on the mobile site. One is about, and the other button is why calculate. So this is the exact wording that falls under the why calculate tab, and we got that information in part from NABCA, from their publication Alcohol Demands a Closer Look. NABCA allowed us to use the verbiage and some of the content from that publication, which is a very easy to read, easy to follow publication that our commission and a lot of our stakeholders and citizens in the state really appreciated having something that was easy to read, simple, and explained to the point. You know, look at exactly what it is you're drinking, and kind of have some personal accountability for looking at your labels and looking at the packaging and knowing what it is that you're about to consume, rather than just assuming it's a certain proof or a certain percentage. The next tab that is under Calcohol is just the About tab, and so this is kind of just providing our users more, where they can find more information, whether it be from back to the agency or posting directly to Facebook and Twitter, reposting the use of Calcohol, and to give recognition to our partners as well. Some of the logistics are just things that we had to think about when we were coming up with an app and its development. And this is just from a general perspective, or things to think about if you're looking to do something similar, is once that theme is defined and you have an idea or what you want to do with it, selecting that vendor was an integral part of the process. We used a vendor that was another state agency, so they were able to create and develop the mobile site for us. So while it was great that they took it upon themselves to do the development and had experience with doing something like this previously and getting it done in a reasonable amount of time, we're somewhat at their mercy of getting them to finish the application part of Calcohol. So as it is right now, it is a mobile site versus being an actual downloadable phone app. So the difference of it being, in order to use the mobile site on an iPad or on an iPhone, iTouch, you would have to have either Wi-Fi or internet access, whereas if you have it on an iPhone and you can download it, you wouldn't have to rely on having cell phone access. So the vendor was definitely a key process in getting started. And one of the things that kind of hung us up on the beginning was thinking of a short and memorable name, because when you're looking at the names of apps in iTunes or in the Apple Store and then on Google Play, the ones that make the most sense, or the ones that people use the most, are the ones that have short names, not a lot of 2, 3, 4 word names on them. So that's where Calcohol came into play. We had thought of some others that had almost a sentence-long explanation, and those just didn't go over as well. So once we had the vendor picked out and a concept, an idea of what we wanted it to look like, we just had to differentiate what responsibilities our agency was going to take on versus what was the vendor going to do for us. And some of the two coincide. So whether it'd be like the testing the site before it actually went to launch, that's something that both parties needed to be involved in, or the vendor testing it for us and then letting us know when we could go in and test it and provide feedback before it moved into production. So I will have Tanya come on and talk about marketing of Calcohol and just some of the things that we've produced and how we get the word out there.
Thanks, Shannon. Like Shannon said, it was a great process to get to completion, but then it's a whole new process to start. How do we let people know this is out there, what it does, and get people to start using it? What you see on the left with the scannable tag in the upper left-hand side started out as a full-page advertisement that we put in our quarterly magazine, and we also were fortunate enough to share it with a number of our partner associations in-state and nationally and get them to also run it in their publications free of charge. We have also made it into flyers that we take to events, and those get picked up fairly frequently. The piece there in the center and the upper part is actually a coaster, and this has been one of our most successful ventures for getting the word out. We had, I believe, 10,000 of those printed. We gave 5,000 of those to the Iowa Restaurant Association, who does on-premise and bartender events across the state. They passed them out then to people participating in their events to be used in bars and restaurants. We kept about 5,000 of them to distribute, and Shannon used her prevention groups to do that. What they would do is take the coasters out, and that gave them an opportunity to walk into a bar, to walk into a restaurant, and talk to a bartender about serving sizes and the difference in proofs and things, and the message of alcohol, and then also leave them with a giveaway, essentially, that they could use and share that information with their consumers and customers, who then can scan the tag right off the coaster, download it, and start using it themselves. The third piece that you see underneath there on the bottom right is currently a poster, but we are in conversations to actually make it into a bar mat for our on-premises bars and restaurants to keep as well. We've extensively used social media to promote, and there has been multiple different press releases and radio interviews and things going on with it. The response has been overwhelmingly positive, and I think one of the best compliments we get is it's just so simple. Nobody has any issues with using it, and once they understand, what the point is of using it or why it's beneficial to use it, they pick it up really, really quick. On that note, then, for our web traffic, as you saw on those promotional pieces, we put a scan tag or a QR code on everything since it's a mobile site, and the point is basically for people to be using them on their mobile devices, iPads and phones, rather than on a desktop, but it does work on a desktop computer. So 38% of our traffic to Alcohol is coming from people scanning those mobile tags and those QR codes. I'm actually a little surprised it's not higher than that, but that to me says that most of the people are finding out about this through the promotional materials that we have put out. Another 32% of them are navigating their way to Alcohol through Facebook, through our Facebook, through shares of other people's as well. Then you can link to Alcohol straight from our website. 9% of our traffic is directly going to Alcohol without going to our website first or going through a search engine. Only 5% on Twitter, and I really don't have a good explanation for why it's doing so much better through Facebook than it is through Twitter. But we're drilling down into that a little bit more to see what we can do with Twitter to make it a little more successful there. And then 3% of the traffic to Alcohol is coming from general search engine, people typing in things for serving size for alcohol, proof for alcohol, and things like that is where the traffic is coming. Alcohol has been out for 9-10 months, and we currently have about 6,000 active users on it. When we approach this winter having a full year, we'll do another push again and hopefully up that number as well. I am going to give you back to Shannon now to cover one last thing and wrap up.
Thank you, Tanya. So this is kind of just the way that it worked for us, and a little bit of template for those of you looking to do something similar. just a simple 5-step process. So we started with a concept and an idea, and then we moved it into brainstorming content, what was this function going to be, selecting a name and all that good stuff. Then selecting the vendor who was actually going to implement and create and do all the hard coding and get to the nitty-gritty and get all the complex stuff done for us. And then simultaneously, while the development was taking place, we were looking at marketing, getting the word out, creating a plan for getting the launch out, and writing a press release, and then just having those items ready for when the final product was pushed into production, so that we could get them all out at the same time and start driving people to the alcohol state. And then last but not least is your follow-up. You can't just implement it and expect it to run itself. So it's kind of like social networking, where Facebook and Twitter, it's something that needs attention. And so we've been looking at ways to utilize our stakeholders and our partners and get the word out for us. And our nonprofit and prevention agencies have been very appreciative of having this as a tool and getting away from using the blood alcohol calculator as much as possible, and moving into something that promoted moderation, low risk, personal accountability, and just knowing exactly what you're drinking. So using those folks to get that word out for us, and then we can track exactly what it's doing, how it's working, and then we can use that feedback for improvement or to come up with some other ideas or concepts. So that's just kind of how it worked for us, and we're always looking at ways to improve it, and would appreciate any feedback or any direction on how we can make it better. So with that, I will leave you guys the contact information for both Tanya and I, and we can be reached via email or call the agency directly. And I believe Maggie would like us to get back to time for questions.
Yep, and I've got several that I'm looking at. So the first one I have, and actually let me just remind folks again, if you do have questions, just type them in the questions box, and it'll come through and I'll ask the questions on your behalf. The first question I have here is for Keith. If you were just now developing this, would you use HTML5 and do it as a web page? As a web app.
I would say there's a few benefits to going that route. One is it only has to be developed once for a number of platforms. The real decision point there needs to be what functionality you need application. If you need to tie into complicated data sources, or do that give the user a real experience as to what they're used to when working with their mobile applications, then you want to go the mobile app route. If simplicity and application, or rather platform coverage, are your key goals, then HTML5 has a lot of capability.
Okay. All right. The next question is, who maintains the back-end data website stats for the app? Does the company who created the iOS version, or does in-house IT specialists do that? I think that's for Pennsylvania.
So when we developed the Android application, I decided that we needed to include functionality to record those metrics. The way we do it is basically the app communicates back to web services at PLCB, at our location, to record those statistics. We went back then and retrofitted the iOS with similar logging functionalities, and then we retain that data in a database in-house and derive our charts and our dashboards from that data.
Okay. Another question for Fine Wine and Good Spirits. How much did it cost to design and implement the app?
I don't have the exact number, and I mean, if it's something I can talk with someone offline with, but we haven't been given the specifics on the cost, so we can find out and get back to them, Maggie.
Okay. All right. And for the folks in Iowa, do you guys have a range or a budget or an estimate as to how much it cost for you to do alcohol?
Mostly the cost that we incurred was with the marketing materials and creating things that we could leave with our prevention partners and stakeholders and consumers to brand and market the tool. We used a vendor that was another state agency called Iowa Interactive, who produced the mobile site for us free of charge because it fell within their range of normal duties or things that they could provide their state agencies, which was great. Because they had the experience and the know-how to get it off the ground and do something. We didn't have the person internally here to set aside time to do the development and the coding, but we're also at their mercy of getting them to actually launch the mobile app part of it now, because again it's free of charge. So I can't keep pushing, hey, when you going to hurry up and get my free product done, please? So it's been a give and take, but overall I think that the product is well, and we want to see the mobile engage how well it was. Kind of had a justification for the mobile app.
Okay. All right. Anybody has any more questions before we close? We've got about 4 minutes, not that we have to stay on for 4 minutes. And along those lines of in-house or using somebody outside, just any closing remarks on, Pennsylvania, are you glad you had control? I know it was a lot of learning. Would you have done it otherwise, or when you did the exploration, was it the charge really beyond budget?
I think speaking from the choices, one being in-house and one being contracted out, it was a good experience to see which one had successes in which direction. And I would say that the hurdles for our development staff on the iOS or the Apple side would have been greater than the Android side. So not starting out with a language that is very different from anything we had experience with was a good thing. That was a good reason to contract that out. Whereas the Android application was something that we could learn and tackle and keep in-house.
Okay. Iowa, anything to add?
Using the vendor that we went with, it was a good fit for us, and again, we were really appreciative of the ability to get it up and running for us. We're able to use by having it be a mobile site right now, we can use web analytics, and so we can be things. And we had just kind of established a timeline beginning and a project manager, and kind of take this project and go with it, which was me. Just make sure that I followed up with them on their timelines and checked in to say, how are we at on this phase of it, on this piece of it? Do you need any information from me on this, just to keep things going? But once we got started, it flew really well, and we provided them with content of what we wanted it to look like, so that we weren't kind of starting from scratch, and I think that really helped expedite the process. Plus keeping it pretty simple. It was basically just a simple equation to do the calculations. But again, this was our first one, and we had wanted to be something simple, something promoting health, but we also wanted to be one of the first state agencies to actually get this under their belt and have a mobile site and a mobile app. So the vendor was really excited to do it for us, so that they got through it quickly, because they wanted more experience in developing these as well.
Okay. All right. Well, great. Thank you, guys. In closing, I want to thank Jessica, Keith, Shannon, and Tanya for their time and for sharing your valuable knowledge with us. If anyone has any questions that we did not address or think of something afterward, feel free to email the presenters. I was able to send out this morning the presenters' information, their slides, if you will, and their contact information is on there. If for whatever reason you lost it or you need to reach out to me, feel free to email me at NABCA. nabca.org, maggiebarshini@nabca.org. One more note, please stay tuned for information about another mobile app webinar, this one addressing how a licensed state created and successfully used an enforcement and regulation app. That will take place sometime in early November. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Wishing everyone a great day. Bye.